So we want to talk about the idea that there's only one God. So by definition, God means the cause of all causes. There's no one greater, no one equal. He's the source. You can't go beyond him. So if we talk about my God or your God, that won't make sense if we're defining God in the same way. And I think many religions, by definition, agree. God is the supreme, or you say the supreme Father, the creator, the original source, the origin of everything, nothing beyond him, the beginning, the Alpha, the Omega. So I think everyone agrees on that. So, but then when we get into conceptions, well, what is God? We're talking here in India, where I live. So what is God? Well, then all of a sudden, I'll say, well, according to my tradition, God is this. And someone will say, no, he can't be like that, because in my tradition, he's like this. And then a third person will say, well, both of you are wrong, because in my tradition, he's like this. So the thing is, God is not limited. So he can be the way I see him, he can be the way you see him, he can be the way you see him. Just like my spiritual master would give an example. Perhaps your father is a judge. So at his work in the court, people address him as your honor. But when he comes home, you address him as dad or daddy, or however you address your father. And it's the same person, but the relationship is different. Now it's father-son. Or he addresses your mother, honey, darling. The relationship is different. It's husband and wife. But at work, the relationship is different, because these are people coming for judgment. So he deals with them in a legal way, in a judicial way. There's no emotion or affection there. And so he's the same person, but in different dresses, different faces. So God, he's the same person, but we have different relationships with him. And because of the different relationships, we may see him. Some people say, God is everything. God is everywhere. God is in everything, in every atom. The sun is God, the moon is God, the ocean is God. So some people say, God is everywhere. Some people say, yes, God is everywhere, but he's also personal. He's both impersonal and personal. And if you think God is everything and everywhere, but someone says he's a person, you might say, no, he can't be. He's everything. And then someone will say, well, if he's everything, he's also a person. Why limit him? And people will say, no, but you're limiting him if he's a person. And they'll say, no, you're limiting him that he can't be a person and everything. And he can be a person who's everything. So when we start to limit God, then we get these problems. So, my God, your God. Well, it's just your conception of God. So I can accept your conception of God. If you accept my conception of God, then we can understand its different aspects of the same God. Yes? One God. We're talking about the same God. Now we give him different names. In my tradition, we call him Krishna. Maybe someone calls him Christ or Allah or Jehovah. And maybe when I say Krishna, I'm thinking of a specific aspect of God or a conception of God. When someone says Allah, they're thinking of God in another way, or Jehovah in another way. But we're still talking about that same person. And that's where the unity comes. It's the same God, same family. And once we understand that, everything's good. And if we don't understand that, then, as my spiritual master said, he told the story of Aesop's fables. Aesop said to his sons, they were massaging him, and they all wanted to do a better job. And as they were massaging him, they started fighting with one another to get the different parts of the body to do a better job. And they ended up hurting him while they were fighting. So he said that's what happens. In the name of loving or serving God, we end up fighting one another and putting one another down, which of course is the supreme paradox. In the name of religion, as we say, we have enough religion to hate one another, but not enough to love one another. So thank you for listening.